Hey, everyone. Happy Wednesday. Good evening. How are you doing on this midweek catch up? Dayna says she is tired. Get you some nitros. Get you some nitros, not only just for energy, it is a great support to your thyroid. I love telling people that because I was so shocked to find that out. But get it. It's so good for your body. The other one that you're drinking is not helping your thyroid. And there's no crash to that. I love a nitro. But that's not what we're here to talk about today. We could talk about it all day. If you want to talk about it, drop it in the comments. We'll talk about it. We'll circle back around. We'll talk all about it. But no, seriously. Welcome back to episode 37. If this is your first time hanging out with us, we appreciate you. Welcome. I'm Tameka. I don't know how this looks right now with y'all, but below me is Dayna. And to my right, this way, woo child, is Andriana. Flip that camera and I don't know left from right. So we are excited to talk to you about another amazing topic. Y'all just get used to hearing that because I say it every single day, week, month, all the things. All right. So grab your drink, grab your friend, make sure you hit the share button. Make sure you go and like and follow us. Our handles are there for a reason so you don't miss a single episode or none of the goodness that we bring to y'all 365. So today I feel like is another topic that can be a sore spot, especially if you work with an actual team. Like if you are in a biz where you have to build a team or you're responsible for other people, and everybody is, right? You have to deal with customers. We're going to pick on her today because we had this conversation before we went live. She's like, she don't have a team, but you got customers. I'll let Dayna do her little pick on because that was they beef. But at some point or another, or at some time, if you're considering running a business, you are going to have to foster some kind of culture surrounding your brand, some kind of workplace atmosphere. If you have a team or you have a brick and mortar where you have actual employees coming to working, even if you work from home and you just have like a I can't think of the word, like a receptionist or some kind of secretary or something, at some point or another, you're going to have to set a culture around your workplace or your business. But why is it important to have a positive one? We hear a lot of the negative, right? So everybody could tell you in a heartbeat, yes, I've been a part of a team and the leader was this, and that. But why is it important to have a leader that is fostering and creating and making sure that those people that they bring in are willing to be a part of that positive culture outside of the obvious, because you don't want to be talked about and make nobody feel bad. So let's get into it. Grab a drink and we're going to talk about these positive cultures that need to take place. And I'm sure we'll get into the bad. So ladies, why is it important? First off, why is it so important for leaders to create a positive culture within their teams, their workplaces, all of that? Andriana, we're looking at you, girl.
For me, it's so important to, have, I guess, somebody that I can talk to. For me, I am I don't know if personable is the right word, but I thrive off of relationships, friendships. I will call you my friend in a minute, but if I don't see it reciprocated, I'm kind of standoffish. I guess I'm kind of like Tameka in a sense. When I walk in a room, I'm trying to feel a vibe. If we vibing, okay, but if we not, don't talk to me. I don't want you. But I say all this to say, the question was asked, like, why is it important? I had a client a few months ago in the hospital. She in labor, and we was talking about why she chose me, and it just came up out of nowhere. Like, why did you pick me to be your doula? I feel like I have not done my due diligence. I gave you my 110%. And she said, I don't know, it was just something about you. And I didn't understand it because it took me a minute to like, okay, people really look to see, like me now, look to see like who they can connect with. I guess it's all about connections and everything. I wasn't like that before then, but we had that conversation. I went home, I did some soul searching. I was like, okay, I get it now. She didn't connect with this other person, but she just saw something in me. So my struggle is, why don't I have customers that's knocking at my door like that? What is it about me that does not click with this person over here that clicks with this person? Like, I need to know what that trait or the characteristic about me is, just to know, okay, I need to shine like this all the time, or am I bringing it all the time? I don't know if that makes sense. Maybe y'all can help me.
I don't really have anything on that. I was going to just answer Tameka's question. A leader sets the tone. So to me, it's important that the leader is super crystal clear on what that culture is, right? What are our beliefs? What is our systematic thought process when it comes to certain things? I think we talked about it before, but over the last few years, I think it's been emphasized more than ever. It matters what you stand for as a business. People want to purchase from people. And so I guess it kind of trails into Andriana, your thought pattern, because when you say you don't have people knocking at your doors, I would say then, like, let's take a look at how we're delivering. I don't think it's who's delivering it or what we're delivering per se, as much as how. But I definitely feel like we are now in an age where the curtain is pulled back and we can see into what people and what companies actually stand for. And if the leader isn't taking the lead in that trickles down to the team, and then that trickles down to the customers, then that trickles down to sales, right? And so just taking something small, like, I know for me, there's places I don't shop because simply I understand how that company treats their employees and I'm not okay with it, right? Like, I'm not going to put anybody's names out there, but in general, like, I just know for me, I wouldn't align with that. There's companies that, like, even in the wellness space, that to me, I don't like the way your company started. So I don't align. It wouldn't matter how pure your stuff is. It wouldn't matter if it worked for me. I don't align with your core beliefs and your morals, right? Because that's just what's important to me. And so I think as a leader, and again, even if you're a leader and you only have a team of you, like, you set that tone and set that culture. And if you're very, very clear on the things that you stand for versus the things that you're like, absolutely not, what happens is, I was at a workshop and we did a little exercise and I thought it was brilliant, right? So she had us raise flags, right? And so we got to watch different people's brand stories, and essentially they talked very passionately about what they believed in, right? And so we then held up red flags if we're like, absolutely don't align with that, or green flags if we're like, yeah, that's great, we can totally get down with that. And then I think there was an orange flag if you're like, I actually don't know what that person stands for. And I think so many times we try to stick in the middle, where then people don't know what we stand for, and then we don't attract the right people. And as a leader, you have to take a stand. As a leader, you have to say, hey, no, actually, we support ABC and we're against DLB. I don't know, but that's not even in order. Because what's going to happen is then people can make a definitive decision on, yes, you have the same product as this person over here. I want to go to you because I align with your beliefs. So I think that, again, it's so important. Everybody else is going to follow whatever that leader has set out for. This is our standards. This is what we believe. This is what's important to us. These are our causes that we focus on.
Yeah, I like that. Andriana, I'll start by first saying your point. Like, if you don't know, how do you expect anybody else to know? Like I guess it's like you said, you went home and you had soul searching, and so you could understand where she was coming from. My next piece, which maybe this is something that you do, is have that conversation. Like, you don't know how the conversation started, but you can go a little further. Even like if you do like follow-up care, or do you have like customers give you reviews? I know it's like she caught my baby in the air like that. I might think of a review for a doula. I don't really know, but I've never used one. But I imagine it's just like, things that people would say would be like, she had open communication because she felt comfortable in telling you that. So maybe that's it. Maybe you foster an open communication, which when having a baby, you want to be able to talk to somebody. So if you're uncertain, like what you do well, because you're just like, I'm just passionate, but I don't have people, ask the people that you have come into contact with, like, do you mind giving me a review, or do you mind just telling me what my service was like? I mean, because unless they complain to you openly, or, I mean, listen, if I was having a bad experience while I was already pregnant or giving birth, I would let you know. Like, we can use the excuse later, I was in labor, if you want to, but at least they can tell you, right? So I would doubt that, because that's something you would fire somebody. It's like getting married. I'm not going to keep a bad wedding planner. Like, I'm going to fire you. I'm going to fire a doula who's not doing what I expect. I mean, most people I would hope are comfortable. So I would just ask in that case, so you can know what it is. The people, I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with you saying, hey, what is it? But I like 100% agree with Dayna, and like what she was saying, fostering or creating a workplace culture, or just a culture within your team. Like, maybe you don't build a team, but I know most of us here are a part of an organization where you build a team, right? If you're hearing about a group of women specifically, because it tends to be us, I'm sorry, y'all, that all they do is they're messy. They talk about each other, right? Or as Dayna brought up, like, all they're focused on is what this other company does, and they just want to tear it down. I don't know anybody that wants to be a part of that, because when you're building a business, when you're trying to make money, like, you don't need anything else negative flying your way. Like, you want to be in a place where you can excel, right? You want to be somewhere where you could have advancement, whether that's rank advancement, whether that's promotion, whatever you're doing. You want to be somewhere where you feel comfortable. But when we have a positive culture, not only are we bringing in the people that, I don't want to call them the right people, because I feel like that's the wrong word, but you bring in people that want to be at the table. We've said it before, like, there's always space at the table, but the hard thing is filling people that actually want to sit down at it, that actually want to eat here. But if you have a negative space, chances are you're going to just bring in catty people that want to gossip, people that really don't want to work. They just want a high school clique where they can, dump all of their stuff. Misery loves company. Like, nobody wants to do that. But if you are that leader that's like, look, I'm setting the tone, and this is what we're about, and this is what we're doing, you're going to bring those people in. They're like, this is what I want to do. They're going to feel like they're supported. I don't even want to throw in the word motivation, because Dayna and I both believe that is a crap word. It is not real, but maybe you'll feel a lot more motivated to be somewhere where people are like, look, let's do this. They're giving you positive feedback or critical feedback, but also makes you want to work harder. If it's negative, you're not going to excel. I mean, we've seen a lot of turnover in our industry, specifically in network marketing, and a lot of people have disappeared. And I would wager that the teams that they were a part of, they didn't feel like they could come back to. If you don't feel like you can come back to a place, you're going to quit, you're going to go somewhere else. And that has its own negative space. So I feel like that you're going to have better communication. People are going to be able to speak with you. But not only that, you're going to have a team or a workplace that wants to problem solve, because they're going to want to be there. And we've said it before in the last episode that problems are going to come up. Bad things are going to happen. It's going to be a bad day or a bad month or even a bad quarter. But if you have an environment where people don't really want to be there, they're just cashing a check or whatever the case may be, they're not going to be willing to be like, hey, this is how we can make this better. They're not going to be willing to give you feedback so that you can have a place where people want to come. And I think as an entrepreneur, like that is huge. Even if it's customers, like Dayna said, like I don't want to be a part of, you know, another company or even a part of somebody's team. Like I would 100% shut it down if like the leader was like, oh yeah, I've been with 50 companies and every time something does this, I quit. Because now I'm like, well, you're going to quit on us and you're going to walk away. And it's this whole thing. And it is a big deal, right? Mentally, that's a big deal. But that being said, even though it seems like the obvious thing to do, like everybody wants to come to a positive place, it can be hard. You can have leaders that don't know how to lead and don't know how to create that space, but conversely, you also have the individuals that make that hard. So I guess my question to you ladies is, what are some of the challenges that can come up when you're trying to create a positive culture for your team? And then how can you address those? So I guess what's some of the common challenges that people will run into as a leader of a team, a leader of a workplace, and then how can they overcome those challenges when they come up?
Yes, you're waiting on me again. I love the saying. I love this saying so much. I think it was my aunt. I had her speak at one of my events a while ago, and she said, try to be a thermostat and not a thermometer. Like, if you're walking into the room, you feeling, oh no, this ain't for me, just try to change it. Like the thermostat, just change it. Don't take the temperature of the room. Oh, well, we finna go in. We about to talk about this person. We about to talk about this person. I don't like her. Okay. No. I love that. And that stuck with me. And as far as, I don't know, what was the question again? What was the question?
What's some common challenges, and then how can you overcome them as a leader trying to create a positive culture?
Oh, so go back to that. Just that whole thermostat and thermometer thing, just overcoming like what people have going on. Don't let other people's problems become your problem, so to speak. Dang. And in the workplace, I would like for my customers to feel like they can come to me, not with no crazy stuff, but just, I mean, let me know how I can improve your experience. I guess. I guess that's it. Just, I don't know, leave me some feedback. And that way I can overcome what's going on. Or, yeah, make improvements.
And I would say too, I just feel like life be lifing, y'all. I mean, sometimes the negativity comes just simply because, you know, there's things outside of our control, right? So I'll just use an example. My last networking event, my speaker was sick. And the whole idea behind our networking events is, right, to have a guest speaker. So I have no guest speaker. You know what I mean? And so the negativity, obviously, I still want everybody that purchased the ticket and spent their hard-earned money and drove to this event, I want them to get the value, right? I want them to benefit from it. And so a lot of times there's things outside of our capabilities to control that just happen, and it's going to be negative. But I think, I don't remember who, maybe Tameka has said, you know, being solution oriented versus, you know, problem, right? Like, because the natural inclination is, oh, well, now what are we going to do, right? Like, whereas we have to start thinking, okay, let's pivot, but still make this impactful for everyone. And as a leader, you have to take the lead in that, right? Like, you have to be the first one to say, okay, this isn't ideal, but let's come together. And even if you can't on your own come up with the ideas, I think that's where that positive culture comes into play. And then even when you can't show up, you start getting other people to think critically about things because they see your mind working, right? So maybe you weren't really sure of what that looks like. So get some feedback from other people on the team. Like, hey, so how can we still move forward, right? How can we still make this successful? How can we still have a good time in this situation? So I think that a lot of times it's outside of your control. I don't think that we go in and it's like, oh, I just hate all the things and I hate what I do, right? Like it's outside sources that confirm that you're like, oh great, I was already not feeling good, but now look at this, right? And so then we have to address them, and then we have to do something. I have my nieces are learning how to drive, and like I'll never forget when I was learning how to drive, and my dad was in the car with me, and I'm driving along, and somebody like they were far enough ahead of me, but they were coming this way, and they swerve into my lane, and I take my hands off the wheel, and I'm like, what do I do? And like my dad is like, well, not that, and he pulls the wheel, right, so we don't get hit and die, right? But it makes me think about like a lot of times in leadership, you might have to step in, right? You might have to step in and say, actually, we need to go this way now, right? Like, and this is how it's going to look, even when you're scared, even when you're like, I don't know exactly what that looks like, but I'm going to try. I'm going to keep this positive. I'm going to keep this uplifted. I'm going to keep everybody focused. But I will say, and I don't know if it's okay for me to kind of go into this piece, I do feel like, understand when we say be positive, like we're not saying like this aloof optimism, because that's not realistic either, right? Like you're gonna have bad days. That's fine. Sometimes you did all of the things and it's still crap. Didn't work, right? Like, so I do think that you also have to have some realism and be like, hey, we're human. Hey, this is the reality. Hey, this is what it is. But I feel like communication helps to alleviate some of those things, right? So even when I didn't have a speaker, I immediately emailed all of my attendees like, hey, like, this is what it looks like. This is what we're going, but we're still gonna have a good time. This is what's gonna happen. And I'm not gonna lie, I was like, I'm stressed, I'm tired, right? But I still need to show up. I express to them, so I'm very transparent. So you know what I'm going through. I'm being realistic with the situation. So don't feel like you have to have this facade of positivity. You can still show up genuine. You can still show up 100%, but it is contagious, right? Like if you are always negative, if it's always a problem, if there's always issues and you're the leader, like that's how everybody else is going to be. You're going to be like, why do you handle our customers so terribly? Well, how do you handle us as your employees, right? We're just mimicking what we see in that culture.
I'm glad you said that, because I was like, one of the things that I was thinking like as a challenge is that we're big right now as an entire world on buzzwords, right? Like we're so used to marketing to people and being like, special diet and lose 50 pounds now or change this. Like there are so many really big buzzwords. And if you come at your team with like this buzzword of this team is a go-getters, and it's going to be like, if you go and look up every potential synonym and everything for the word positive and you just chuck it out at people are going to be like, because you're never going to be able to live up to that. And you have to have action, right? So I wholeheartedly agree with everything that Dayna was saying. I think that having bad days and showing up and being able to step in, like allowing your team to show up as themselves, or your employees to come in and be, look, I'm just having a bad day. But as a leader stepping in and being like, hey, but this is how we can deal with it. I still feel like it's part of creating a positive culture, because you're letting your team, you're letting your employees know you can come here and it's like church, right? You show up as you are, but we're not going to come in here and act a plumb fool. But I still want you to come. Let's talk about it, because maybe we can help if you're in a space to talk about it. And if you just need a space to like, just leave me alone, let me get on with it and I'll deal with it. People are going to feel comfortable, but it's not going to become like a nagging constant thing. Like Dayna said, they're not going to be like coming in with negativity. Maybe you'll even provide the tools for them to be able to overcome whatever the situation is when they're ready to face it. So I feel like that's part of a positive culture. And as I mentioned when I first started, consistency, right? I think that if you're inconsistent, is something that I see amongst leaders, especially within our industry, is they're just so inconsistent, because they're like, I'm just going to kick this off, but the same rules don't apply across the board, right? Oh, it's okay if I'm talking to my other leaders or my business partners if we trash somebody that came in and had a poor month, but it's not okay for y'all to talk about me because I didn't hit my goals, or X, Y, and Z, whatever drama happens. But there has to be consistency, because I mean, all of us thrive on it, right? Like, nobody wants to live in the toxicity, but everybody wants to show up as themselves. So I definitely think, staying away from those buzzwords, but can be a huge barrier. And then also, excuse me, some people are just resistant to change. If you're taking over a group, or you're coming into, excuse me, a business and people are already there, they could be resistant to change. If you're bringing in people that maybe, you recruited new people and that they've been a part of some kind of network marketing or direct selling or some other company, they could just be so used to something, they're going to be resistant to change. So you just have to understand that it's not going to happen overnight. This is something that you're going to have to be consistent about. It's going to be something that you're going to have to promote, and that you're going to want to take, advice or hear what your people want. Because at the end of the day, a team is people. Dayna has said it multiple episodes that, in business, you need people. If you're talking about creating a workplace, creating a team, it's people. And in order to foster that, you have to be able to listen to your team, encourage your team, and most importantly, and I'm not just talking monetarily, invest in your team so that you can provide the support that's necessarily for them to thrive and for your workplace or your culture for your team to thrive. So yeah, I think my big thing would just be consistent and understand that that's not gonna happen overnight, especially if you're inheriting something. I know a lot of people that watch are in the network marketing space in some shape or fashion, and you can inherit, teams. And if that happens, you don't know what culture they're coming from or bringing with them. So you just have to be patient and be consistent. So, ladies, any other final thoughts, tips, advice for those who are maybe stepping into leadership role, taking over a new team, just any other things that you can leave them with so that they can foster the positive culture that they want for their team and workplace?
So I'll just say, fill yourself first. So being a leader, it's there's a lot of output, right? Like, so there's a lot of output of energy, there's a lot of output of yourself. There's so much output that, like, if you don't feel yourself, I actually been reading a book, How to Raise Good Humans. Excellent book, y'all. Especially if you're like me, like a yeller at your kids, check that book out. But and one of the things that she talked about, like, when it comes to our own emotions, right? Like, I can't be empathetic to you and feel your emotions if I've never sat with my own, right? Like, because I can have similar experiences, but if I haven't actually felt the emotions or allowed myself to feel the emotions, then I can't give. And so you have to first, like, address within you, do some self-development on yourself, say, hey, what are the things that cause me to go down negative spirals, right? What are the things that pop up? And a lot of times it can be your own negative voices, right? That then I put that inner critic on my team, because it's the same thing as if you have kids, right? Or on my kids, like, because it's coming from somewhere, right? If the atmosphere in your business, if the atmosphere in your workplace is negative, it's you, right? Like, you might say, well, they always got a stank attitude, or they don't work hard, or they don't do da 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 da. Well, they're going to mimic half a fraction of what you do. So that means, unfortunately, you need to be extra positive, right? You need to do extra work, like, because then it's going to give them to do half of that stuff. And so I really say, do that inner work and feel you first. Use tools. Y'all ain't using y'all essential oils, y'all. Get out the essential oils. Look, be like, I need transformation to change up this. Give me some white Angelica to deal with y'all negativity, right? Like whatever you need to do in those moments, because and I felt it myself, like where I'm so full that like even when people are making negative comments, it's like boom, 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 like because I don't, it's not even hitting me because I'm like, y'all just sound stupid and you talking to yourself, right? And you don't foster that, and so then it never actually develops to more. And so start from within, and then you'll have more to then like trickle to other people, to fill other people, and they will feel that positivity more. So that would be kind of like my little last tidbit. I know I'm super excited like this weekend. So we're gonna Memorial Weekend, right? Yeah, Memorial Weekend's coming up. And I have the opportunity to facilitate at a retreat down in Georgia. And one of the things that I really admired about this organization is their leadership. I admired the things that they are modeling, and I aligned with that, right? And so it made sense for me to be a part of their team because of how they're leading. And so I know they've done inner work, right? And so now I have something I can contribute to kind of bless the other ladies with. So do your inner work, then worry about the rest of you.
I like that word she said, being empathetic. And I feel like as a leader, you need to be able to understand what other people are going through so you can help them out. I mean, you a leader, you need to help your people. Because if you don't, I mean, we're just going to be struggling along on this train of misery. If I can't help you, you can't help yourself. It ain't no purpose to doing what we're doing. So I think I like that characteristic or that trait, that you need to be empathetic, because I mean, I have been on my team now that I'm a part of, and I've always looked to other teams. The grass looks greener over there. Maybe I need to wait and try to jump on there, over there, because it looks fun over here. But I don't know, just understanding your people is a good quality to have as a leader.
And there are lots and lots and lots of tests out there that your people can take to help you understand your people. We talked about one on here that actually I had never heard of. We talked about the money archetypes. That was way, way, way back. It is titled that, but go check that out, because I know I had a lot of like money mindset mess prior to doing that with Dayna. And even though I had started working through it, it was interesting to take those really easy questions and then kind of get a breakdown of just like the things that I was already believing about what I thought about money. But there is personality, there's so many. So if you're in that role, and you, especially if you have a massive team and or a big, workforce of employees, have them take those things. It can be a fun, like morale boosting, like just activity that you do, and have them take it in their own time, because you'll learn a lot, especially when you're talking about the personality colors. Like that's a very basic one that can give you some really good insight into how to just the bare minimum talk to your people or to reach your people. And it can help you understand yourself, and then how you can interact with them based off of your personality. Because we just don't know what we don't know. And you can't, it's like your kids. If you have multiple kids that are very different than each other, you don't talk to one as you talk to the other, because you don't get results. So it's the same with your people. So y'all, we appreciate you being here. We hope that this helped you get ready to step into a leadership role to support your teams, or even maybe change the culture that you currently have going on. We will drop the links to some of those tests and personality type things in here, so you can grab them and shoot them to your people or take them for yourself. If you are not already subscribed to the YouTube channel, make sure you go over there and check that out, because if you for some reason cannot find our episodes on Facebook, or you got to scroll through too many posts, you can catch them there super, super easy, and you can watch back from the very beginning of time, y'all. We appreciate you. We will be here same time, same place next week, 5 Central, 6 p.m. Eastern. Until then, y'all take care, and we will see you next week.